Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we continue to follow the turbulent love story of single mother Lythica and Officer Hùng. As you all know, after countless hardships, Lythica has finally regained her memory. However, instead of living peaceful days, she finds herself caught in a new whirlwind of fate. Meanwhile, Hùng, the man who once stood strong to protect her and her child, is now drowning in debt and facing the risk of losing everything. But the biggest shock comes with the appearance of Du, a mysterious man from Du. He not only holds explosive secrets about Lythica but is also silently setting a trap that will push everyone into an inescapable confrontation. And that's not all. Tony and two other men, suddenly appear and fall in love with Lythica. Between three men, three intertwined destinies, and secrets that have never been revealed. Who will Lythica choose? Will it be Hùng, the man who once risked everything for her, Du, the dangerous yet irresistibly charismatic figure, or Tony and the ones willing to sacrifice everything just to win her heart? Will Lythica follow the path of her heart, or be dragged into a vortex of schemes and revenge? And what exactly does Du want from Lythica and her child? Stay tuned for today's episode, because this is the biggest turning point in the story so far. Lythica had been through countless storms, but there was one thing that had never changed: her longing for a place called home. With no parents left to return to, her childhood was filled only with quiet emptiness. Yet, thanks to Hùng, the man who had silently stood by her side, she finally found a place to come back to, a small house the two of them had built together during their hardest days. Even H's mother, the gentle woman who had always cared for her, often softly asked, "Lythica, what does the house you and Hùng built look like? Is it truly the warm home you always dreamed of?" And today, at last, Lythica decided to bring H's mother there. The road to the house was not long, but for Lythica, every step felt like walking through the struggles she and Hùng had overcome, the days of counting every penny, the nights Hùng spent painstakingly fixing each brick, nailing every plank, just to give her a place she could call home. When the simple gate came into view, Lythica's heart tightened. A gentle breeze carried the scent of jasmine that Hùng had planted in the garden. She smiled faintly, her eyes blurring. Memories came rushing back, afternoons watching Hùng sweep the yard, nights when he quietly patched the leaking roof so she could sleep in peace, each moment replayed like a slow-motion film, so vivid it made her heart tremble. H's mother stood beside her, watching silently, then gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "The house is still here, and you have someone who truly loves you enough to build it with you. Never forget that." Lythica nodded slightly, her lips trembling. After so many months of lost memories, she finally understood. This house was not built merely with bricks and wood, it was built with Hùng love and unwavering patience. She stepped onto the porch. The scratches on the walls, the simple furniture in the rooms, all stood as proof of the days they had endured together. As she gently placed her hand on the familiar door, a wave of warmth and gratitude filled her heart. While Lythica was walking around the old house with H's mother, suddenly, a familiar figure appeared at the end of the alley. It was Hùng. He stood there, exhausted, his deep eyes filled with worries he could not put into words. The moment he saw Lythica, he quickly walked over and, unable to hold back, grasped her hand, his voice trembling. "Lythica, you shouldn't stay here for long. I need to talk to you." Hùng hurriedly pulled her inside, his eyes darting around as if afraid someone was watching. Only when the door closed behind them did he exhale sharply, shedding the strong facade that everyone was used to seeing. And then, Hùng told her everything. His voice was hoarse, his hands clenched tightly as if he was trying to contain the pain inside. "My mother, she's the one who secretly borrowed from loan sharks, and she's also the one who hired those thugs to hurt you." Those words felt like a knife straight into Hoica's heart. She froze, her eyes wide in disbelief. But when she looked at Hung's anguished face, the man standing before her, she found herself unable to blame him. In that moment, she realized, the one suffering the most in all of this was not her, but Hung. Lowering his head, his voice cracked as he continued. "I'm sorry. I truly didn't know until everything came crashing down. Now my mother owes 900 million dong. Our house, our land, they've all been seized. I've been trying everything I can to buy it back. But..." He couldn't finish his sentence. Hoica silently looked at him. There was no anger left in her heart, only sorrow. She knew Hung wasn't the one who caused this misery. He was just a son, desperately carrying the weight of his family, and trying to protect her as well. Fearing for Hoica's safety, Hung firmly said, "I want you to stay at Ha's house with his mother for now. It'll be safer there. I can't risk anything happening to you." Hoica stayed quiet for a long time, then nodded. She understood him, so deeply that no further explanation was needed. She didn't want to burden him any more than he already was. She didn't want him to carry both the crushing debt and the fear for her safety. And so, Hoica and Ha's mother quietly packed their things and returned to Ha's house. In her heart, there was no anger left, only deep compassion for the man who was fighting alone in the storm. After a long business trip away, Du returned to the city and immediately heard the news. Hoica, who had once been lost, had now regained her memory. Without a moment's hesitation, he rushed to the house where she used to live. But when he stood in front of that familiar door, no one was home. A flicker of worry crossed Du's face. Then, he suddenly remembered Ha, the one Hoica was currently staying with, and quickly headed there. As soon as he arrived, the first thing he saw was Hoica sitting on the porch with Ha's mother, gently holding a steaming bowl of medicine. The warm afternoon sunlight fell upon her face, the very face he had longed for endlessly during all those days apart. Du stepped closer, his eyes unable to hide his joy. Sensing the moment, Ha's mother quietly went inside, leaving them some space. Du looked at Hoica for a long while, then exhaled deeply as though releasing the weight he'd been carrying. "I thought, once you regained your memory, you'd go back to your own home. I was worried sick about you, Hoica." Hoica gave him a soft smile, her voice as gentle as a breeze. "Hung is busy dealing with his family's problems. I don't want to burden him any further. Here. I feel at peace. Ha's mother treats me like her own, and Tony is happy here. I just want Hung to have the time to sort everything out." Hearing this, Du clenched his hands slightly, his eyes filled with determination. He had said this before, but this time his voice carried even more sincerity. "Hoica, you and Tony, come stay with me. I want to take care of both of you. I just want you to fully recover and live without worries." Hoica stayed silent for a moment before shaking her head. "Du. Here, I feel like I'm truly part of a family. You're good to me, but I don't want to change anything right now. And Tony, he's my son. I hope you understand that." Du lowered his head slightly, his eyes filled with a quiet sorrow, but there was no anger or reproach. Instead, he gave her a patient smile, the smile of a man willing to wait. "I understand. I won't take Tony away from you, Hoica. I promise. I just want to stay behind you, protecting you and Tony, because Tony is my son. I could never, and will never, abandon him." In that moment, Lythica bowed her head slightly, her heart trembling. Perhaps, even if she couldn't be with Du now, she knew he would always be there, silent, steadfast, like an unshakable wall behind her and Tony. When Du learned about the hardships Hung was facing, he couldn't just stand by. He invited Hung to his house for a talk. At first, the atmosphere was a little awkward. After all, both men loved Lythica. But instead of clashing the way people might expect from two men in love with the same woman, there was no hostility at all. On the contrary, between Hung and Du was a quiet, unspoken understanding, as if they both placed Lythica and Tony above everything else. Du poured Hung a cup of tea, his voice steady and warm. "Hung, I know about your family situation. Here, this is the money I've managed to gather. Take it. No interest, no conditions. I just want you to get through this, and keep protecting Lythica and Tony." Hung froze. He stared at Du for a long moment, his eyes filled with surprise, and then with a deep, indescribable emotion. Finally, he reached out and gripped Du's hand, a handshake not between rivals, but between two men united by the same resolve. "Thank you. I owe you for this. But don't worry. I'll never let Lythica or Tony suffer again." Du smiled faintly. "You don't owe me anything. We're just doing what's best for them." They both fell silent for a few seconds before breaking into laughter almost at the same time. And in that laughter, they found common ground. They even made a promise: no matter who Lythica chose, they would both love Tony as their own and give her and the boy nothing but the best. That afternoon, for the very first time, Tony went to the park, with both of the men he called Dad. On one side was Hung, the man who built their home. On the other side was Du, the man who had silently protected them all this time. Tony's laughter rang out as Hung lifted him high into the air, and then again when Du handed him a cold, sweet ice cream. Watching that scene, Lythica stood at a distance, her eyes welling up with tears. For the first time in her life, she felt Tony truly had a family. And under that warm, golden afternoon sun, the three of them, two men and one little boy, laughed together, as if every wound from the past was slowly, gently healing. During her time at Haas House, Lythica slowly found a new rhythm to her life. She was no longer the lonely, lost woman drifting through the world. This humble home in the countryside, with its scent of aged wood and the whisper of the wind through bamboo walls, had become a place of unexpected peace for her. Every morning, as the sun barely broke the horizon, Lythica would rise early. She helped Haas' mother light the fire, boil tea, and prepare a simple yet heartwarming breakfast. Afterward, the three of them would head into the forest to gather medicinal herbs. Lythica moved nimbly beside Haas' mother, picking each precious plant while listening to her share old stories, about the village, about Haas' mischievous youth, and about the quiet, enduring joys of rural life. In the afternoons, when Ha went out to the garden, Lythica followed, rolling up her sleeves to help. Beneath the soft sunlight, she knelt in the soil, carefully picking vegetables and laughing whenever her hands got dirty. That laughter, bright and clear, seemed to breathe new life into the once quiet garden, and more than once, I had to turn away just to hide the look in his eyes. Even Haas' mother noticed it. One evening, she smiled softly and said, "Since Lythica came here, this house feels different. It's warmer, like we finally have a real family." Ha only smiled, but in his heart, there was a bittersweet ache. He loved Lythica, he couldn't deny it. Every time he saw her brush back her wind-tossed hair, or watched her gently tie up a bundle of vegetables, his heart skipped a beat. But he knew, her heart already belonged to Hung. Many nights, long after everyone else had gone to bed, Ha stood silently in the yard, staring at the starry sky. He would light a cigarette, only to put it out again, remembering Haica's words. Ha, you should quit. It's bad for your health. Because of her, he had changed. From a reckless young man who wasted his days, he became someone different. Someone who woke early to tend the garden, helped his mother cook, and quietly carried the weight of the home on his shoulders. He didn't dare ask for anything. He didn't resent fate. For Ha, just being near Haica, just seeing her smile every day, was enough. But Ha's mother, wise and perceptive, saw everything. She knew her son loved Haica, but she also knew it was a love that would never be returned. One quiet evening, as the two of them sat by the fire, Ha finally spoke after a long silence. Mom. I know Haica loves Hung. I'm not asking for anything. I just want her to be happy. I'd never do anything to make her feel uncomfortable. His mother placed a hand on his shoulder, her eyes glistening faintly. She didn't say a word, she simply squeezed his hand, passing him all the strength she could give. From that day on, Ha protected Haica in silence. Even though he buried his feelings deep, every time he saw her speak of Hung with that bright, tender look in her eyes, he would turn away and remind himself, as long as she's happy, that's enough. And in that quiet little house, Haica, without even knowing it, had transformed Ha. She turned a once-lost young man into a steadfast, selfless man, someone strong enough to carry the world for the people he loved. They weren't truly a family, but in that home, they were something that felt even closer than family. And Ha, standing quietly behind it all, became the silent wall that kept Haica safe, asking for nothing in return but her peace. Will Hung, the man bearing a crushing debt in place of his mother, be able to rise above it all and protect the home he and Haica once built together? Or will these relentless burdens finally break him down in the middle of life's unforgiving storm? Haica, after regaining her memory, thought she would finally find peace. But no, reality has once again tested her. Amidst the mounting worries, she must care for little Tony while helplessly watching Hung push himself to the brink, his body growing thinner, his eyes tired yet still burning with determination. Meanwhile, Ha, the simple, honest man who once opened his home to her, quietly harbors a deep, unspoken love. He never asks, never competes. He simply stands by her side, a silent guardian. Yet every glance he gives her carries a tenderness so raw, it could break anyone's heart. And then there is Du, Tony's biological father, steadfast and unwavering, silently supporting Haica and vowing to protect her no matter what. 3 men. 3 hearts. 3 loves, all for Haica. But she can only choose one path. Will she follow her heart and return to Hung, the man who once weathered every storm with her? Or will she open her heart to Ha, the quiet soul who loves her in silence but with unwavering depth? Or perhaps, will she let Du step in, giving Tony the complete family he has always dreamed of? And as for Hung, does he have the strength to rise again, pay off every last debt, and prove to the world that his love for Haica is unshakable? All will be revealed in the next episode, where hidden truths will surface, conflicts will reach their breaking point, and one decision will change the fate of them all.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình đưa đến mọi người câu chuyện về mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca và cảnh sát Hùng mọi người. Hôm nay thì câu chuyện nó có khá là nhiều diễn biến phức tạp khi Hoài Ca hiện tại đang xoay quanh với tình cảm của 3 người đàn ông. Thứ nhất là người đàn ông tên Hùng, là cảnh sát Hùng mà Hoài Ca đã yêu bấy lâu nay. Rồi người đàn ông tên Đô là cha đẻ của Tony, và bây giờ là một người đàn ông khác nữa tên là Hà. Hà thì là người đàn ông đã cứu Hoài Ca khi Hoài Ca bị mẹ của Hùng thuê giang hồ và hãm hại. Vậy liệu thì Hoài Ca sẽ chọn ai cho ba người này. Bởi vì bây giờ Hùng và cô thì đang gặp phải rất là nhiều khó khăn khi Hùng gánh trên vai khoản nợ của mẹ để lại khoảng gần 1 tỷ đồng. Vậy thì diễn biến câu chuyện sẽ xảy ra như thế nào thì mời mọi người đón xem tiếp ở tập tiếp theo nha mọi người.